She whispered, "Don't have the biology of human women." I smiled. "You already have two things they do." The starship Aurora drifted silently through the black velvet of space, its silver hull glinting faintly against distant starlight. Inside, Captain Elias Morin walked the narrow corridors with the calm confidence of someone who had faced the void and survived. His crew of scientists and diplomats moved with purpose, preparing for humanity's first encounter with a fully sentient alien civilization, the Virelians, known for their advanced biology and rigidly structured society. The Virelian homeworld, a planet called Celeris, shone like a sapphire in the void, its oceans glimmering under a pale, distant sun. Reports from orbital surveys described sprawling cities, bioengineered landscapes, and structures that seemed grown rather than built. Humanity had traveled light years to reach this world, and for Elias, the weight of responsibility was enormous. This mission could determine the future of human-alien relations, and perhaps the reputation of humanity itself. The crew gathered in the observation deck, eyes wide as the planet slowly rotated beneath them. "It's beautiful," muttered Dr. Amira Chen, the chief xenobiologist, pressing her hand against the transparent view screen, "and completely alive in ways we haven't seen before. Look at those forests. They aren't just green, they're glowing with energy, almost like they're breathing. Remember, adaptability and creativity are strengths they don't fully understand." Unlike the Virelians, humans were imperfect in many ways, but those imperfections gave them an edge, the ability to improvise, to think differently, and to react in ways no calculated algorithm could predict. As the ship descended into Celeris' atmosphere, Elias felt a subtle tension in the air. The Virelians were known to be cautious, sometimes cold in their interactions. Their communication relied heavily on nuanced gestures and biochemical signals that humans could barely perceive. Even so, humanity's first impression needed to be confident and deliberate. When the Aurora landed softly on a platform outside one of the cities, the crew was met by a group of Virelian representatives. They were taller than humans, with elongated limbs and luminous skin that shifted color slightly with emotion, a subtle, graceful display that conveyed meaning far more complex than speech. Their eyes, wide and unblinking, reflected an intelligence that was almost overwhelming. One of them stepped forward, a female scientist named Lyra. Her skin shimmered in soft shades of violet, and her gaze, when it met Elias, held a piercing curiosity. Unlike the others, she did not bow or perform the formal gestures typical of Virelian greeting. Instead, she approached directly, her movements confident and measured. "You are human," she said, her voice calm, melodic, and somehow carrying a depth that resonated beyond mere sound. "You do not have the biology of Virelian women. But we have a few abilities of our own that you might find interesting. And we can invent solutions on the spot, things no species has ever tried before. Two things that might seem small to you, but they define how we survive and thrive. We can't change our bodies the way your people do, but our minds find a way. Then perhaps you may be of value to us, Captain Morin." Elias felt a thrill of recognition. This was a species that had mastered their environment, shaping biology itself to their will. Yet, despite the alien perfection surrounding him, Elias remained grounded. He could see the cracks, the limits hidden behind the shimmering perfection. The Virelians were strong, precise, and brilliant, but rigid. A sudden anomaly or unpredictable event could throw their systems into disarray, and that was where humans excelled. In a secluded laboratory at the heart of the city, Lyra showed Elias examples of Virelian genetic engineering. Flora and fauna had been enhanced to withstand harsh climates, illnesses eradicated through gene modifications, and complex networks of symbiotic organisms maintained the city's ecosystems. Elias observed silently, impressed yet confident. "This is extraordinary," he admitted. "Your species has achieved a level of control most species could only dream of." But there's one thing missing. Two things, adaptability and creativity, allow us to survive in situations that might overwhelm a perfect species. You will see soon enough, but it won't be simple. Your world, your cities, everything is designed for stability, and stability is not our strength. Chen worked with the Vireland engineers to devise new ways of purifying water using simple, adaptable human methods, bypassing the complex but fragile systems the Virelands relied on. Small failures that would have caused panic in a rigidly controlled society were met with calm, creative solutions. Every success subtly impressed the Virelands observing them. Lyra watched closely, her curiosity growing. She had been trained to evaluate life forms purely on biology, but humans defied her expectations. They lacked the genetic perfection of her people, yet they achieved results that Virelands could not. As the sun dipped behind the alien horizon, casting long shadows across the living city, Elias and Lyra stood together on a balcony overlooking the glowing landscape. "You are different from what I expected," Lyra admitted quietly. "Your biology is simple, yet your mind compensates in ways that are unexpected. We may lack your enhancements, but we have traits no one can engineer: adaptability and creativity, two things that define who we are." It was more than acknowledgement. It was an invitation, a subtle recognition that humans had arrived not just as visitors, but as teachers, innovators, and perhaps saviors. The night deepened, and the city's bioluminescent lights pulsed gently, reflecting the quiet rhythm of life that permeated every structure. Elias knew that their presence here could change everything. Humanity had come to Celeris with no enhancements, no superior genetics, yet they possessed a power the Virelands had overlooked: the human mind. And as he looked at Lyra and through her at the world she had helped create, Elias allowed himself a small, confident smile. The journey ahead would be difficult and the challenges unprecedented, but humanity was ready. Because even without the biology of Vireland perfection, humans already had two things that could change the course of this encounter forever. The day on Celeris began with a quiet hum, the pulse of the living city vibrating faintly under Elia's feet. After the previous night's cautious greetings and subtle demonstrations of human adaptability, he and his team were eager to see how their presence could be truly meaningful. The Virelands had invited them deeper into their society, into spaces where only the most trusted of their kind were allowed. For humans, it was an opportunity to show that their intelligence and creativity were not just survival tools, they could be catalysts for change. Elias followed Lyra through a corridor that seemed to grow organically around them. The walls shifted subtly as they walked, responding to the vibrations of their footsteps, while small tendrils of bioluminescent flora curled and glimmered in greeting. Elias marveled at the sophistication, but he kept his focus on the task at hand. Humans had to prove their value quickly. Lyra led them into the central laboratory, a vast space that smelled faintly of ozone and exotic plant compounds. Everywhere, the Virelands worked meticulously on their experiments, their elongated limbs moving with precision. Several humans and Virelands were already collaborating on routine tasks, but Elias knew their real test was yet to come. "We have a situation," Lyra said, her voice calm but carrying a subtle tension that Elias had learned to recognize. "There is an anomaly in one of the orbital biodomes. The energy flow sustaining its ecosystem has become unstable. If it continues, the entire biome could collapse within hours. Your people may be able to help." "Show me the problem," Elias said, moving toward a large holoscreen that displayed a rotating image of the dome. Lyra tapped a series of controls, and the screen expanded, revealing the intricate layers of the biome. Trees that were supposed to conduct energy efficiently were faltering. Water systems were misaligned. Tiny creatures designed to maintain the soil chemistry were showing erratic behavior. "Our systems can calculate the problem," Lyra explained, "but we cannot respond quickly enough. The anomaly is unpredictable." We can see the solution you cannot. Then, after a long pause, she allowed them to proceed. Elias and his team began improvising, working alongside the Virelian engineers who initially hesitated at their unorthodox methods. Hours passed in a blur. Elias coordinated the human approach. They adjusted the flow of nutrients, rerouted energy channels manually, and monitored the responses of living organisms in real time. The Virelians watched, fascinated, as humans applied trial-and-error methods combined with intuition, a method that to them seemed chaotic but effective. By midday, the energy levels began to stabilize. Small patches of failing flora revived, and the creatures in the soil resumed normal behavior. The dome had stopped collapsing. The Virelian engineers exchanged glances, their usually stoic expressions hinting at surprise, even admiration. Lyra approached Elias, her glowing skin shifting to a soft lavender. Your methods, they are not precise in the way Virelians calculate, yet they work. The humans' unpredictability has corrected what our systems could not. Sometimes the solution is not in perfection, but in seeing possibilities where no one expects them. That's the strength of adaptability. Human creativity had solved a problem that rigid logic could not, and the ripple effect was immediate. Yet, while the humans celebrated their small victory, Elias knew the real challenge was still ahead. The anomaly was only a symptom of a larger issue. Celeris ecosystems, while engineered to perfection, had grown brittle over centuries of stability. A single unexpected variable, a disease, a storm, even the subtle influence of a foreign species, could destabilize the delicate balance of life. Humans had arrived at a crucial moment, and their next steps would test not just ingenuity, but endurance and leadership. Late in the day, Elias walked with Lyra to a higher terrace overlooking the city. The structures glimmered with living light, and the soft wind carried a scent of alien flora that was faintly sweet. The moment felt serene, but Elias sensed the undercurrent of tension beneath the surface. "There is more you do not see," Lyra said quietly. "Your interventions today have proven humans are capable, but your species is also fragile. Many of you would not survive our world long-term without support. Yet, despite this, you succeed where others fail. Why? We do not rely on perfection. We rely on our minds and our ability to act quickly. Perhaps they define your species more than we have understood." Their minds were unpredictable, their solutions often unorthodox, but their results were undeniable. Suddenly, an alert rang through the lab, another anomaly, this one more severe. An energy surge in a neighboring biome threatened to destabilize multiple structures simultaneously. The Virelians were ready to calculate and wait, but Elias knew waiting was not an option. "This is it," he said to his team. "We do not have the luxury of perfect calculations. We improvise, we adapt, we act. That's what makes us human." Creatures were moved manually, nutrient flows were rerouted, and the living city seemed to pulse with their combined effort. Hours stretched into the night. The work was exhausting, and the margin for error was small. Yet every step revealed the power of human ingenuity. By dawn, the energy surge had been contained, the neighboring biome stabilized, and the living city itself had been saved from potential catastrophe. The Virelian leaders arrived quietly, witnessing the results. Silence hung in the air, broken only by Lyra's soft exhalation. "You have done more than we expected. Your species is remarkable." For Elias, the lesson was clear. In a universe built on rigid perfection, humanity's imperfections were not weaknesses, they were strengths. And as the first rays of Celeris' sun glinted off the crystalline towers of the city, he understood that their journey had only just begun. Humans had arrived as guests, observers, and learners. Yet, through sheer ingenuity and the unyielding ability to adapt, they had become something more, a force that could challenge even the most perfected civilizations. And as Lyra watched him with a mixture of curiosity and newfound respect, Elias realized that their place on Celeris was no longer temporary. Humanity had proven itself capable of shaping the future, even on a world that had once seemed untouchable. The city of Celeris was waking to a new day, but there was no rest for Elias and his team. Overnight, the anomalies had revealed a deeper issue, one that no human or Virelian had fully anticipated. The Virelians' systems were designed to maintain stability, yet they lacked the flexibility to respond to multiple simultaneous crises. Humans, by contrast, thrived in chaos, and Elias knew their next test would push that strength to its limits. He gathered his team in the central lab, where holographic images of the affected biomes flickered in the soft glow of bioluminescent lighting. The images showed multiple energy fluctuations across the city, each threatening to destabilize delicate ecosystems. The domes in the orbital belt were particularly vulnerable. If their energy grids failed, entire populations of engineered plants and animals could be lost. "This is more complex than yesterday's problem," Elias said, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. "We cannot rely on a single solution. We need adaptability at every level. But I trust your species' methods cautiously." Sensors showed a rapidly fluctuating system, one that required constant adjustment. The Virelians had calculated the optimal path for energy flow, but their rigidity made real-time response nearly impossible. Humans, with their ability to improvise, were ideally suited for this challenge. Working quickly, Elias coordinated with Dr. Chen and a pair of human engineers. They devised a system that combined real-time observation with adaptive control. Using simple, flexible methods, they rerouted energy flows manually, stabilizing critical points while keeping the larger system flexible. The humans moved rapidly, relying on intuition as much as data, making adjustments as new variables appeared. Meanwhile, other human teams worked with Lyra's colleagues to stabilize the city's ground-level ecosystems. Plants and creatures were not responding as expected, and Virelian algorithms failed to predict subtle interactions. Humans introduced small, inventive changes, adjusting nutrient levels, rerouting water flows, and even introducing minor variations in light exposure to stimulate adaptation. Where the Virelians hesitated, humans acted decisively. Hours passed with no sign of failure. Yet, just as the city's energy grids began to stabilize, a new threat emerged. A previously unknown pathogen had begun to affect one of the orbital biomes, spreading rapidly through the engineered flora and fauna. The Virelian systems were designed to contain disease within controlled limits, but this pathogen was mutating faster than any algorithm could track. Lyra's skin shifted to a pale lavender, a sign of stress among her kind. "This is unprecedented. We cannot predict its behavior, and our usual containment methods will not work. Humans are good at responding to the unexpected. Let's see what we can do." Chen suggested combining simple chemical stabilizers with minor environmental adjustments to slow the spread. It was not perfect, but it was a start. Lyra watched with fascination as humans worked, their hands moving decisively, their minds calculating possibilities faster than any algorithm. Where the Virelians saw chaos, humans saw opportunity. Where the Virelians hesitated for precision, humans acted with flexibility. Within hours, the spread of the pathogen slowed, giving the Virelians systems time to adapt and reinforce containment. "You do not follow our protocols," Lyra said quietly. "Yet you achieve results. I do not fully understand your methods, but I see their value. That's what makes us human." Their presence had already altered the balance of life, and the city's inhabitants, both Virelian and engineered, would need ongoing attention. Lyra approached him, her expression thoughtful. "Your species demonstrates a capacity for rapid problem-solving that we cannot replicate, but you also take risks. That could have led to failure. But humans thrive where risk exists. We assess, adapt, and act. It is not perfect, but it works. In a world designed for stability, unpredictability is our strength. Perhaps they define your species more than we realized. Each time, humans improvised, using observation, intuition, and creativity to solve problems that would have overwhelmed even the most advanced Virelian algorithms. By late evening, exhaustion weighed heavily on the team. Elias gathered everyone in the central lab for a brief moment of reflection. Today was difficult. We faced problems no one expected, and we acted where others hesitated. That is the power of our species. We adapt, we innovate, and we survive. Remember this. The universe does not reward perfection, it rewards action and intelligence. Humanity is not just here to observe. We are here to contribute, to change outcomes that might otherwise have been catastrophic. Perhaps your species' greatest power is not in physical form, but in thought, in imagination, in the ability to act when others cannot. Their ingenuity had prevented disaster, stabilized ecosystems, and earned the respect of an advanced alien civilization. Yet even in this moment of triumph, Elias knew the journey was far from over. The city of Celeris was vast, complex, and alive in ways humans had only begun to understand. The anomalies that had tested them were symptoms of deeper challenges, ones that would require not just creativity and adaptability, but endurance, leadership, and courage. As night fell over the alien city, the humans gathered on a balcony overlooking the softly glowing structures. The bioluminescent flora reflected off their faces, a reminder of the living, breathing world they had helped save. Elias watched the city and realized something profound. Humans were capable of influencing worlds far beyond their own, not through strength or perfection, but through the unique combination of mind, will, and adaptability. Lyra joined him quietly, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "You have proven much today, Captain Morin, but this is only the beginning. Celeris has challenges we cannot fully predict. Your species, creativity, and adaptability will be tested further. Whatever comes next, we will face it together, with intelligence, with creativity, and with courage." And while the future remained uncertain, one truth was undeniable. Humanity had arrived, not as mere visitors, but as problem solvers, innovators, and a species capable of meeting challenges no other could. As the night deepened and the city's lights shimmered gently, Elias felt a quiet confidence. Humans had faced unpredictability, improvised under pressure, and proven that adaptability and creativity were forces to be reckoned with. These two traits, simple yet profound, had allowed them to navigate a world where the rules were unlike any they had known. And in that living city of Celeris, Elias understood that humanity's journey was just beginning. There would be more crises, more tests, and more unexpected turns. But no matter the challenge, the human mind, flexible, creative, and resilient, would rise to meet it. The night on Celeris held a promise. Humans were no longer observers. They were active participants in the shaping of this world, and their influence was only just beginning. The first rays of Celeris' sun painted the city in shades of gold and violet. The living structures shimmered faintly, their bioluminescent veins pulsing softly as if breathing. After days of crises, improvisation, and delicate negotiations, the human team stood together on the balcony of the central lab, surveying the city they had helped stabilize. The events of the past hours had tested them in ways no training could anticipate, yet humanity had prevailed. Captain Elias Morin allowed himself a moment to appreciate the quiet beauty of Celeris. The city was alive in a way humans could barely comprehend. Structures shifted and grew organically, ecosystems intertwined seamlessly, and even the air seemed charged with energy. But beneath the surface, he knew the planet was fragile. One miscalculation could trigger cascading failures. That fragility was precisely why humans were needed. Their minds, unpredictable and adaptable, could respond where perfection faltered. Lyra approached him, her luminous skin shifting through calm shades of lavender. "You have changed our perception, Captain, Violins believe in precision and control, yet your species demonstrates that flexibility can be just as powerful. Adaptability and creativity are not weaknesses, they are strengths. That is how we survive and thrive, even in environments that are entirely alien to us. He had been invited to explain, in detail, the methods humans had used to stabilize the orbital biomes, contain the pathogen, and prevent cascading failures throughout the city. As he spoke, using simple words and clear examples, he noticed subtle shifts among the elders. They were listening not just to the content but to the pattern of thought, the rapid analysis, the decision-making under pressure, the creative solutions that humans applied where calculations failed. It was more than communication. It was a demonstration of capability that transcended species. When he finished, a quiet murmur spread through the council. Lyra stepped forward. "Captain Morin, humans have shown abilities we did not anticipate. Your species has survived and succeeded where rigid calculation would have failed. You have demonstrated that adaptation and creativity are forces as powerful as any biological enhancement we possess." Humans had arrived as outsiders, and now they were being recognized as equals, contributors, and problem solvers. "Thank you. We do what we must to survive. And we believe that collaboration between different species, different perspectives, can achieve outcomes no single species can accomplish alone. Life is not only in structure and control, but in flexibility, in the ability to respond to the unforeseen. Humans teach us that perfection is not absolute. Your species' unpredictability is a strength we have overlooked." Humans had not only stabilized the city and its systems, they had changed the way an entire civilization perceived life, intelligence, and power. Following the council meeting, Lyra guided Elias and his team to a research wing where Violins were studying advanced bioengineering projects. The humans had been invited to participate, not as assistants, but as collaborators. They worked alongside the alien scientists, combining human creativity with Violin precision to explore new possibilities. Elias suggested modifications to energy flow networks that were impossible under the rigid rules of Violin design. Humans introduced redundancies that relied on observation rather than pre-programmed algorithms, creating systems that could respond to anomalies without collapsing. Lyra watched in quiet amazement as the humans implemented these changes, adjusting in real time to unexpected outcomes. By mid-afternoon, the first demonstration of true human-Violin collaboration was complete. A previously unstable section of the city's ecosystem now functioned seamlessly, responding dynamically to environmental changes. The bioluminescent trees shifted their growth patterns, the engineered creatures moved in harmonious cycles, and the energy grids adjusted fluidly to fluctuations. Lyra turned to Elias, her eyes reflecting a mixture of admiration and wonder. "You have taken what we believe to be perfect and shown us it can become better, not through strength, but through thought, through innovation, and through courage. These two traits of humanity are remarkable. Traits we rely on, whether we are surviving in space or helping a civilization maintain balance. They are not encoded in our DNA, but they define who we are." Humans and Violins mingled, exchanging ideas, learning from each other, and discovering solutions that neither species could have developed alone. It was a rare moment of harmony, proof that collaboration across differences could produce extraordinary results. Dr. Chen looked at Elias, her voice soft but firm. "Captain, humanity has always thrived in challenges. But today, we've shown that even in a world designed for perfection, our approach works. We can make a difference anywhere, any planet, any civilization, if we rely on the strengths that define us." Humans had arrived on Celaris with no enhancements, no superior genetics, yet they had influenced events in ways that even the most advanced Violins could not. Their minds, flexible and inventive, had reshaped the course of a civilization. Lyra approached again, this time with a small group of Virelian leaders. Captain Morin, humans have proven their worth beyond doubt. Your species demonstrates qualities that are rare even among advanced life forms. You have earned a place among us, not as visitors, but as partners. Your adaptability and creativity are forces that can help Celeris flourish in ways we never imagined. Humanity had earned recognition not through power, not through enhancement, but through qualities inherent to their nature. "We are honored," he said. "We came seeking understanding, but we have found partnership. Together, we can achieve what neither species could alone." For the first time, Elias felt the profound truth of the HFY ethos, the idea that humanity, though imperfect and unenhanced, could rise above challenges through ingenuity, courage, and collaboration. As night settled on Celeris, the city pulsed gently with life. Elias and his team stood on a terrace, looking out over the glowing landscape. The bioluminescent towers reflected their tired yet triumphant faces. The humans had faced crises, adapted to the unexpected, and demonstrated creativity that reshaped the perception of an entire civilization. Lyra joined him one last time that evening. "Captain Morin, you have proven that human qualities, adaptability, creativity, the ability to act decisively under uncertainty, can shape the future. We underestimated your species. Perhaps now we can learn from each other. We thrive not because we are perfect, but because we are willing to face the unknown, to adapt, and to create. That is who we are, and that is how we can help build the future together." Humans had not only survived, they had influenced, inspired, and contributed to the flourishing of a civilization far beyond their own world. Elias felt the weight of this realization, tempered by hope. Humanity's journey across the stars was only beginning. They had proven their worth here, but the universe held countless worlds, each with challenges and mysteries beyond comprehension. Wherever humans went, they carried two traits that no species could replicate: adaptability and creativity. As the city glowed beneath the twin moons of Celeris, Elias understood that humans were not merely participants in the cosmos. They were innovators, problem solvers, and catalysts for change. The two traits they carried, the ability to adapt and to imagine, would continue to define them, to open doors, and to shape futures in ways that no species, no matter how advanced, could anticipate. Lyra looked at him, her luminous eyes reflecting the city lights. "Perhaps humanity is what the universe needs, Captain. Not because you are perfect, but because you are willing to think, to act, and to create. That is your strength." Flexibility, imagination, and courage were far more powerful. Humanity had arrived on Celeris as outsiders, yet they had become indispensable partners. Their influence would shape the future of this world, and perhaps many others. And so, under the glowing sky of Celeris, humanity's journey continued, defined not by biology, but by the enduring, unstoppable power of the human mind.